sportschatplace.com and dogs.com. It is, I don't know what day it is. It's Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. And of course, we're here live 7 days a week, 365 days a year, talking sports, talking whatever's out there. Of course, normally we do tons of free picks. I think we're the best in the business with Rod and Chris and myself doing it that way. Steve Monahan, of course, here, Mr. Sports himself. And, well, of course, not a lot of sports to pick from right now. Just we're kind of going through the motions, testing our gear, trying to, work on some things on the set and stuff like that. Every day I'm adding something new back here, just tweaking things. And in the meantime, trying to deliver some content for you guys. But most significantly, letting you guys know that we're still here. We're not going anywhere. And I'll tell you, when sports come back, things are going to be bigger and better than ever. As you can see, the progress that we've been doing all along. Now, there has been a few days where I've had some good amount of sports. Saturday seemed like it wasn't a normal Saturday. At least it seemed like there was sports. There was golf. There was we had this weekend golf, UFC. We had NASCAR. We had German soccer. I watched a lot of this stuff, sports that I wouldn't normally watch. And I'll tell you, once sports comes back, I'll be honest, I probably won't be watching a lot of that other stuff anymore. But in the meantime, I am watching it. So, we're going to do the best that we can with the time that we have. And right now, it's good time to talk about some other topics and things that you'll be able to refer back to later on and things that will, keep us sharp when betting does continue. And one of the first sports that's going to be back is probably Major League Baseball. I lost my comments window is what I'm trying to get. But one of the first sports that should be back is baseball. And I think that, there's definitely, baseball is one of those sports that not a lot of people bet. So I mean, a lot of people bet it, but not nearly as much as bet the other sports. I can't tell you how many times people contact me and they're like, I don't bet baseball. Like they'll cancel their premium subscription and stuff like that. We don't cover horse racing on this show. Someone's asking about horse racing, and we don't cover it on this show generally, except we've covered some of the big races. The reason why we don't cover it is because I know we're probably not going to cover it when all the other sports come back. Like we're going to start covering the Australian Rugby League, but that's something I can tell you we're going to continuously cover. So it's like we're trying not to jump into things that we're not 100% not going to cover. Like we might not cover Korean baseball once Major League Baseball comes back, but we're going to cover baseball, and it's like, but we're not going to have a daily horse racing show when we're not going to continue to have a daily horse racing show, if that makes any sense. But speaking about horse racing shows, let's bring in Steve Monahan, and we're going to talk some baseball. I'm just going to fire questions at these guys. We're just going to try and keep them sharp. Oh, what did that happen? Huh. That was weird. Oh, man. So, let's see. Oh, man. I don't know what just happened there. That kind of gave you like a picture-in-picture. Let me see. Turn this off and then try. There we go. Steve, good morning. How are you today? How is New Jersey?
Good morning, everybody.
I always forget
New
to turn
Jersey,
on
nice spring day. A little breezy, but seems like life is starting to get back to trending a little bit, but it's still not there.
Yeah, we're out almost 3 weeks at this point here in Maui, and we have not had a corona case in almost a week. Not one new case. And I have to say that, after that first week or so of everybody being out, people are seriously a lot more lax than they are when things started. And I think that that's a good thing as far as comfort. Obviously, you want to be careful, especially if you're in that high risk category. But it's like, when we first were allowed out, you saw people driving around in their car with masks on, and you saw, people really conscious about the distance and the thing, and no fist pumping, no nothing, and now it's kind of like we've all been through this incubation quarantine period, and it's like none of us have it, so what exactly are we waiting for? I mean, you still have other people out there waiting for the cure. But anyways, I think we're going to have Major League Baseball soon. I think we're going to have sports. I think Andrew Cuomo realizes he's probably not going to get reelected the way that he's acted throughout this entire thing. So he's even joined in the fun. But, we don't really talk politics on this show. So when we're looking at Major League Baseball, one of the things that, the game, it changes so much. And even season to season, it changes. And day to day, and guys get injured and things like that, and we go from like things like four-man rotations to now we have things called bullpen games, right? The newest, latest, greatest is bullpen games, and the way things are working, I'm gonna guess we're gonna see more of these and not less. Just seems that it's a way where you don't need as many frontline pitchers and guys can just remain active and really just throw an inning here and there, and you get a lot more mileage out of them and can stretch them out. But the one constant is manager. I've heard that a good manager is worth 5 games a year. I think it's worth more than that. How many games is a manager worth?
Yeah, that's probably right. A little more, maybe as high as 8 to 10, I would think, with making the right decisions and the personnel and things like that, strategy. But baseball now, it's basically home runs and strikeouts. So from a hitting philosophy, the game has changed. We talked about Ricky Henderson and how many stolen bases he's had, and nobody steals to that level anymore. There's no small ball anymore. The pitchers don't pitch into the 7th, 8th innings anymore. The bullpen pretty much comes in the 5th, 6th inning. So a manager has to have the pulse on the team, and certain managers have better pulses than other managers.
See, sometimes managers, sometimes the manager kind of loses their game. And you have I know
they overthink it too.
Yeah, like when I lived in Chicago, Ozzie Guillen, the year they won the World Series, when the Sox, when they were, it was like, holy crap, they just swept the Cubs, on the South Side, in the series on the South Side, and you look up, and it's like they're 39 games over, 500. It was like, holy crap, this team is going to win the World Series. It was like there was no doubt, at that point. But Ozzie, I thought, did a great job managing. And then the next year, and his following years in Chicago, it was the exact opposite, where he left guys out there too long. I think that's what we see with pitchers. It's getting the guy too long. He leaves them out one too many pitches. It's one too many. It's like he's laboring. And they leave him out there. Also, it's the situational, the batting, especially. So, do you think in the American League and the National League, because of the designated hitter and the situational hitting of where the pitcher happens to come up in the scenario of the game, do you think a manager should get paid more money since he works a little harder?
Well, they get paid just fine, but obviously there's a little more strategy involved in the National League when the pitcher, comes into play, batting and so on. But, for this season coming up, universal DH in both leagues, I think, is part of the plan.
I mean, I've been at games where it's like I'm sitting in the stands and I know I could just feel it. This is going to be a really high scoring game, and I've been in games. I saw Dwight Gooden pitch against Mike Scott at Shea Stadium, and I said, we're going to be out of here in 2.5 hours, and runs are going to mean a lot in this game. So
that's right.
So runs are going to mean a lot. Bottom of the 4th inning, you got the bases loaded with 1 out and the pitcher's up. A bad hitting pitcher like John Lester or something,
Yeah, there's plenty of them.
Yeah, there's plenty of bad hitting. I mean, actually, John Lester is hitting a lot better than he used to hit. I think maybe he listened to me for a long time on the show because I pretty much pasted him from. I've been pasting Lester since forever.
Awesome.
I just don't understand how a guy makes that much money and he can't spend 10 minutes a day swinging a bat in the backyard. I just don't understand it. It's like, get it, what do they call it? The pitch away, the net, remember the little net bat away? You throw the ball into the net and smack it. I mean, who didn't take out a couple windows with that thing? It's like, I don't know what happened. The ball comes back and beams you in the shoulder a couple times. Yeah. Safety first. I don't think they make that one anymore. It was a great, it was a great toy. It's like they used to advertise it on TV. These guys, Chris is looking at me behind the scenes like, what are you talking about? It's like, it was this net that was like a trampoline. And they had this square in the middle, and you would throw the ball at it, and then you had the bat next to you, and you quickly would pick it up and smack it back into the net, and it would launch the thing, and you were supposed to be able to grab your glove and catch it again. This was like, you want to talk about reflexes, It's like you're a little kid, so it's like you can't get that far away from it to throw it that hard to get it. So you're getting closer and closer, and things just smacking around. Finally, people figured it out that you could throw anything into this thing and it's going to launch it, So we were putting, like I lived in Florida, so we were launching grapefruits at the neighbor's yard, we're launching whatever, It really didn't matter.
No.
Bottles. Bottles was the big one, Bottles is probably what took down the, I think they called it the pitch away. Pitch away.
Yeah, pitch away.
Pitch away. That was it. That and lawn darts. Gone too soon.
I never got into lawn darts.
Big on lawn darts. Anyways, I think that I think a bad manager will lose you a lot of games. I think that managers on bad teams get a lot of flack. It's a lot of situation. I think part of being a manager is managing the attitudes, and part of the manager is managing the game. I think you definitely have to take this into consideration though, is that certain batters, certain pitchers, certain teams, they like a certain pace, and a good manager knows that, and he'll upset the pace. And the Cubs under Madden did that all the time. They changed the rules finally because it got so gruesome for the fans to watch. But right. I definitely think that's.
And again, it's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, or longer. I mean, Lou Piniella. He came up with things that. The idea is you come up with the things before anybody else can. So like Lou Piniella, with the setup man, and then the closer, the setup man, that whole progression was Lou Piniella and the Nasty Boys. And Tony La Russa then took it to a whole nother level where it's like a pitcher to a batter, situational. Like you want to talk about all day at the ballpark. That's that's where that came from. Those two guys. But I just think that for me, it's like. The manager is the one constant on every team. He's not going to get injured. I'm not a big players coach guy, I never have been, except for Clappy and, in football. But outside of that, I just think that, it's definitely one of the first things I look at, and you hear me talk about these college coaches and NFL coaches all the time. It's like, I'm probably the most critical of a guy who's out there coaching 18-year-old kids of anybody anybody anywhere. It's like I have no problem ripping some guy apart. It's like, and the thing is, if there's anyone that knows that you could dial up the best game plan in the world, have everything, all the chips fall into place, and then have your whole Saturday of betting revolve around an 18-year-old walk-on kicker and a 35-mile-an-hour crosswind, it's me, right? It's like I always seem to be in that situation. So I put myself in that situation. Who are we kidding here? But anyways, to me, it's like I think the manager is super important. It's something I always look at. I think sometimes they're dealt such bad hands. There's nothing you can really do about it. We look back at some of those Yankees teams from the '80s. You think Joe Torre could have won with Andy Hawkins and Steve Sachs? I doubt it. Anyways, no way. Anyways, we're gonna bring Chris in. Chris, I know Chris loves some baseball. Steve will see in just a little bit with the sim picks. But Steve Monahan, we're going to come back to just me. I'm working on a new control system here, and obviously It's not working, so we're back to the old way. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Got a little stuttering going on there. It's your microphone, I know that. But we're talking betting baseball, and you know, certain teams get the reputation they can't hit righties. Certain teams they can't hit lefties. We saw that with the Dodgers for many years, and we certainly took advantage of it. The thing is that doesn't last forever, as we saw last season. With the Dodgers having probably little less, but you get all these different kind of stigma around team, and I love small market teams. I love stigma. That I love it when public opinion, because ESPN is going to show that highlight of the low light. They're going to show that highlight or low light, and that might be the only time that half of America sees that team. So they will have a certain stigma that's around them, or they'll hear about that 10-game losing streak, but now it's a month later. How much do you think stigma plays a part in the odds and the value in betting baseball?
I think that has a little bit to do with it. I mean, it's gonna sway the public, and the public a lot of times has the power to move the lines at least a little bit. Like when you see a heavy favorite, but a lot of it has to do with the team power loading one side, and then all of a sudden you get a -2 or -300 favorite and a +250 underdog because 80% of the public's on one side or the other. So I mean, I think stigma plays a lot into a lot of public betting, at least.
I do too, and it's like, this is why every year we'll sit here talking about baseball, and I'll say the very, very best teams lose 60 times a year. It's like, I think 2 teams won over 100 games last year. It's a rare thing when over 2, when one or more than one team wins over 100 games. So it works both ways. The stigma. It's like Justin Verlander is a great pitcher, but he doesn't pitch. He doesn't pitch past a certain point in the game. So the stigma, there is that people in baseball, they tend to lean to starting pitching. It's listed with the baseball betting and the starting pitching, and it's like, if certain starting pitchers, if you bet a game a particular way, which is the most common way to bet baseball, if they change the starting pitcher, the bet is canceled. How much do you look at this? The stigma behind these pitchers. Like, for me, Andrew Kashner could be pitching against a high school team, and I'm still going to take the high school team every time. It's like, I know that. It's like, I know myself, and it's like, I have my automatics, right? I call them my automatics. Like, you guys have heard me on the show. It's Kashner. I can't help but bet the other side, right? I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't control myself. So with pitchers,
you took the name that I was.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you took the name right out of my mouth, and I was gonna say we have the Andrew Kashner rule, where you see Kashner pitching, oh, I'm on the other side. So it's just like, I mean, we all associate these stigmas, like you said, with certain pitchers or certain ballparks where, like, say for example, you go to Coors Field, you're expecting that you're going to see a lot of runs put on the board, so you may lean towards the over in that spot. Or, you see, like you said, Andrew Kashner, so you jump on the other side. There's stigmas that play a role in a lot of why you'll pick a team, why you'll pick against a team, why we have teams on an auto fade list, why we have teams that we favor. It goes across the board.
It kind of leads me into our next topic here, and this one is injuries. So baseball is a little different sport than some of the other sports, because basically in basketball, the guys are kind of all moving around, and there is only one ball, but there's the defensive side of the ball, and that's where who has the ball doesn't really matter as much, because you're guarding a guy, making sure that he can't get the ball in the easy layup, and it's like when the one guy has the ball, everybody can collapse. There's a lot of different variables there. And then, offensively, there are guys that are the primary scorers for teams. And, that void needs to be filled. And, in football, you have 11 men moving at the same time. So it's like everything has to go in sync in order for a play to be successful. And football is the only sport that does that, where it's like it really doesn't matter who has the ball. Everything else needs to be in sync for that play to go. Occasionally you'll have an athlete that can just make a play, and he's playing against great athletes though. And it's like where it doesn't matter what happened, he was going to do this or that. But that's rare. That's rarefied air. That's Barry Sanders stuff. That's the Odell Beckham Jr. two-finger catch, right? That's those situations. But generally, it's a guard and tackle that have executed a block and a guard that's pulled around and we're going to run, right? We're going to do it. In baseball, it's different, though, because only one guy's up. The guy's only either at bat. There's nothing anybody else can do unless you're on base. And then you're in the field, and unless the ball is hit to you, or the ball is thrown to you, you're really not involved in that play except backing someone up. Or, most of the time these guys are standing around. There's a lot of standing around in baseball. How much do injuries factor, like even for key players?
Well, I think injuries are always going to be a factor, especially when you look at guys or teams that have one key guy. Like, for example, we say one guy doesn't make a team, but you have a guy like Mike Trout, who's a good chunk of the Angels' offense up to this point before they got guys like Anthony Rendon, but he was still a big chunk of that offense. And if he goes out, you could easily see the Angels losing 8 or 9 games in a row because he's that team. He's a good chunk of that offense. But then you have other teams that have a lot of depth that can just be like, okay, well, he's down, so it's the next guy up. And the calendar doesn't stop for anybody, so you have to always finish the game and you move on to the next game. He'll come back when he can come back, but it's like I said, you have to keep rolling with the punches.
I love Albert Pujols. I know he didn't finish with the Angels so great, but I think he's his first ballot Hall of Famer and has pretty much all the career numbers. And I know he was maybe overpaid for a little while there, but I gotta say, man, I did a Dog of the Day video back in 2011, I would like to say, from the rooftops at Wrigley Field, and right over my shoulder, Pujols hits a home run. It was awesome. It went right over the left field, out of the over the left field bleachers onto Waveland. It was awesome. I was on the rooftops right across the street at Bricks and Ivy. It was awesome. But anyways, we're going to bring in Rod Zawacki, the king of the birdcage, and we will see what – I have some good stuff to talk to Rod about. We're going to touch on some of the things that I know Rod knows something about. Good morning, Rod.
Good morning.
So you bet a baseball game, okay? And this has happened. Anyone that's ever bet on baseball more than once, this has happened to them, okay? You bet a baseball game, your starter has cruised in, you've got the 4-0 lead, you've pretty much, you've got the grid now up on DirecTV of all the games, and you're not even concentrating on this one anymore because it is a winner, right? It's circling is a winner, and here comes the bullpen. How exactly do you handicap this? It's like, baseball is a situational game. I talked about it with Steve and the managing side of things. But now the bullpen is really a situational thing because it's like this guy comes in, he walks this guy, now he's not pitching, and they got another guy, another one. And it's like before you know it, it's bases loaded. You got a 3-run lead only. There's one out, and Familia's on the mound, and it's all over. It's like you're just trying to get to your in-game live bet on the other team before he gets that ball out of his hand.
Exactly.
How can you prepare for this, or is live betting pretty much our only savior here? Is live betting? It's definitely something that's helped me in this type of situation.
Oh yeah, live betting definitely bails you out in baseball as you're watching the game and your teams. You can kind of sense, you get this feeling that okay, even if it is 8-0, well, look, it's 8-1. When it's 8-3, it's like, do we take the bet on the other side? sometimes you can actually make some money off the deal by live betting, if you can get that bet in soon enough. Wait, if you think that there is going to be that giant comeback, because bullpens are we've seen it last year. How many vital games that a bullpen comes in and just blows it for you?
Yeah, it's just, to me, the bullpen is just one of the hardest things to handicap. And, I certainly look at it. I know that most of the stats that you can get, they break down the bullpen and the starting pitching. And it's like, I definitely take into account, those bullpens, especially in the state. For me, it's like I look at the stadiums and where they are in the rotation, and then kind of I try and bring the bullpen in. There's only so much you can do here. I mean, you could literally handicap. You could take 3-4 hours to handicap one game. Longer than what it takes to play the game. If you dig deep enough, and right now we have the time to do something like that. But it just seems to me that the bullpen is kind of that thing. Now, also the other thing in baseball, and we kind of touched on this with Chris with the injuries, is also. Baseball is a sport that they're not afraid to rest a guy. Like, how long do you wait until you place your bets before the game starts? We at Sports Chat and Pick Dogs, I get this question a lot. Why do you guys post the games and the picks before the starting lineups come out? Okay, because we do the best that we can, and we want to get out the information as quickly as we can. We try and factor that in, and obviously if there's a major change, we go back and edit it, and I try and explain that to people. But if you put your bet in already, it's very tough to go back and edit when you find out that, Randy Johnson had a blister in opening warm-ups, and, all of a sudden it's, it's a bullpen game, or it's Drew Pomerantz will be replacing him for the start, It's like...
Oh, it happens. It happens.
Can't
quite a bit.
Stand Pomerantz.
Not only in baseball, but all the other sports as well, where you get a freak injury. Happens in hockey. They go out for their little pre-skate warm-up. His foot gets jammed. Oh, this guy's out. We captured like he was going to be in, and then all of a sudden it changes. So those things happen. Those are unforeseen.
So
you rest somebody, and then they tell you last minute. In baseball, I don't see him I'm not as worried because there's another guy that's going to step in. There's usually if he's there, he's as long as he's not the star of the team, but usually somebody else.
So
it gives them a chance to get in there and play, and sometimes that can work in your favor. You get somebody who's been riding the bench who really wants to show off their stuff.
So here's a question that we have. How do you guys feel about only betting the first 5 innings? And so this is two-sided for me. Okay, so number one is I think that in today's baseball, first 5 innings is the way to go. Unfortunately, that's the game that you're able to handicap. The issue that you have with the first 5 inning games is a lot of the games today don't start until the 6th inning. It seems like you have a lot of tighter games, low scoring games. How many times have we cashed overs where it was like 1-0 in the 5th inning? I mean, how many times? A lot, right? It's like even the good teams, right? The expensive teams, that same thing. They just get hammered late. So I think that
Mets are an example. Well, they're great for that.
Exactly.
They take them under the first 5, take the last 5
over. Yep.
It seems that.
But actually, I thought that the Mets bullpen, the outside of Familia, did a pretty nice job towards the end of the season. But that's just
near the end of the season, not the rest of the season.
Oh no,
ugly. Have some good starters, and then the starters like, I don't want to give you the ball. You suck.
Oh yeah, I mean, why do you think Jake Peavy why do you think Jake Peavy, like, managers were afraid to go out to the mound to take him out of the game? He didn't want to come out. He's like, I've already given up 6 runs. We battled all the way back. It's like, I'm not, he's like, I know how fast these guys can score. It's like, I'm dead if you do that. But so I think the first 5 innings is a good bet, and I think we've revamped our new premium area. We're going to be able to, the handicappers will be able to give out first 5 inning bets if they feel that that's the better bet for that particular game. The other sites I've been with in the past did not have that option. So it's something that we will have at Sports Chat Premium and Pick Dogs Premium. So we'll be giving out those picks as well on the shows and be talking about those sorts of bets as we go forward into baseball. I never make this an infomercial or anything about our premium area, anything like that, but we do have a new premium area that's coming out. It was set to come out for March Madness, obviously pushed back because of everything that's happened, but this premium area, it's not, in general, premium areas and buying picks from other sites are basically full game bets, and that's it. Side, total, or run line type things, or, in football, against the spread, money line, and total, things like that. With ours, all sorts of premium picks. Whatever the best bets are for that particular game for a handicapper, that's what you're going to get. And it's going to be the bets that you bet, not just what our system works. It's going to be the bets that you bet. So, I might bet first 5 innings, but I also probably bet the whole game, because the whole problem that I have, and, guilty as charged, right, is that if I bet the first 5 innings, then I have this hollow feeling for the rest of the game that I just don't have any action and there's sports on. It's I know Rod doesn't have that problem.
I'm taking a team total bet where you bet the team total is 3.5 or something, and all of a sudden your team scores 4 runs in the first inning, and you're like, "Ooh, cash where I bet," and you're still in the first inning of this baseball game, and you're like, "Okay, that doesn't feel the same. Do I still watch this game?"
Oh, it's kind of like,
I've already won my bet. Do I flip something else, or do I make another in-game bet?
What am I supposed to do now? And before you know it, you're eating. You're eating, and you just ate lunch, and now you're eating lunch again. It's that's what basically happens to me. But anyways, we're going to bring back the guys for the Sim Pick section. Thanks to everyone that's joining us. Like I've been saying, it's we're kind of going through the motions, just trying to find things to talk about, work on our sets, work on everything we're doing. You'll see Rod and Chris and everyone, Steve, have upgrades as we go and try and get our production up to snuff, top quality as we get ready for real sports again. And I was really hoping we would have news by now. I say it all the time. And it's instead of what I'm finding is I'm spending my betting money on other things. I just got I bought a new shaft for my 3-wood and for my 5-wood. It's I've been playing with the standard shaft that came with the club, and it's now I want to upgrade. So I got myself the nice Tour AD XS, whatever it's called, for the 3-wood and 5-wood. So I don't know. I'm gonna be I think I'm going to put a bunch of my golf gear out on eBay. But anyways, Chris, let's talk my favorite subject, simulated sports played on a computer, but not by a person.
Yeah. There's 4 games today. 12 Eastern, got the Bucks minus 2.5 at home against the Panthers. Panthers.
Steve, talk. You have your new mic set in? I saw you were doing something there.
Yeah, I got it. I got to tick around a little bit more, but it's ready to roll.
It's out, but it's not plugged in. Okay, I thought you had it plugged in and we're ready to go.
I want to do it right now on the show.
Whatever. That's what we're doing. It doesn't matter. We don't care. We're all friends here. Bucks against Panthers. Is that this game?
Panthers.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to pass. I'll take... I don't even have a coin to flip. It's I was going to use a Hooters chip. It's it's the same on both sides. So I thought it was no good. Let's see what else I got. I got a Las Vegas souvenir chip. Why isn't this focusing? There it is. It should be focusing. Fabulous Las Vegas. I don't even have anything to flip here. I guess I could flip my camera cap. We'll make this heads and that tails. bad. Oh no! I hit the mic. Did you hear that? The mic is up here. It hit it on the coin flip. Wow, that's something to watch out for. Or I could use the foam sleeve. So it's tails. So it's the road team. Who's the road team? Panthers?
Carolina, yeah.
All right. So after all of that, I have the Panthers in a simulated sports game played on a computer, not by a person. Next.
3 Eastern, Saints -6 at home against Atlanta. Falcons money line.
Yeah.
Saints.
Falcons for me.
7 Eastern, Chargers -3 at Oakland.
Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah.
Chargers.
And 10 Eastern, Chiefs -11.5 at home against the Broncos.
Your sound sounds good, Chris. Chris has a new mic, and so it's like his sound sounds good. It's just something is weighing it down on the computer. We're gonna figure it out, but he's starting to sound. It sounds a lot crisper. So, who was this last game?
Chiefs -11.5 at home against the Broncos.
11.5.
Yeah. I'm on Broncos.
I got to go Broncos. It's too much.
Chiefs -11.5.
I'll take the Chiefs also. There's been a lot of blowouts in this. So anyways, that wraps up our simulated computer games played not by a person picks.
One more.
Oh,
One more.
There's a hockey one.
A hockey one.
there it is.
They're going to do a hockey one every day now. One
Every
hockey
day?
Every day. Just one. Just one, yeah? There's one a day. One hockey a day at 5:30.
Rod is 63-0, I think, on these hockey picks. He hasn't missed one yet.
I haven't missed a side yet since they started giving
And
up.
he's done every single
NHL
one.
sim.
Every single time they've had a sim game on hockey, he's picked it, and he's hit every single one. Let's
No losses
now
yet.
now that we've
Well,
hyped you up before the 24-yard field goal, chip shot.
It was close yesterday.
Hey.
That's pushed them to the shootout. But
Pays the
Nashville
same.
got the win.
Pays the same.
Yeah. So today we got the Ducks at the Coyotes. Give me the Coyotes here. I'm going to take the Coyotes on the puck line. Coyotes win by 2, -1.5. At plus 135 there. And also, I'm going to take Phil Kessel for the Coyotes to score the first goal. He's ranked 88 in this game. Is his rating in this game? So I think he's going to get the first goal here. Worth a shot at plus 1100. Phil Kessel scores the first goal of the game, plus 1100.
You heard it here first. Phil Kessel in simulated hockey, not played by a human. What is the hockey called? What is the hockey sim? Like the other is called Madden football.
And this is NHL sim. Same man.
NHL, I think. You're right.
NHL 2020
It's just-
picks.
Yeah.
By the year. Right.
So here,
Yeah.
for the May 30th UFC card, it's Woodley versus Burns. Any early call on this one, Chris, Rod? May 30th, Woodley versus Burns. Woodley's been around for a long time now.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. I think right off the top, I'd have to go
Early-
Woodley, but
I'm only going. I would lean Woodley in the beginning, but I'd look at Burns and see what's up there.
How about Michael
where he's
Thomas versus Devontae Parker in the octagon?
Parker.
I like Parker. I like Parker in the physical matchup, but he does have that leg injury, from way back. So could hold him back. But I love the comeback comment. Obviously Thomas has stayed healthier and put up bigger numbers, but I love the comment. He's like, target me 300 times a week and see what happens. I love that though. It just goes to show you that these guys totally pay attention to all the little details. It's like, Thomas mad that he wasn't, he's like, you're a first round pick. It's like, and then it's like, the slap in the face, like, you're a first round pick. He's like, yeah, and you're targeted 300 times a game. I got, look at my quarterbacks for the last 5 years. I had Jay Cutler. I got, nobody. It's like you give me Ryan Fitzpatrick, I have a career year, All right, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we have some more exciting, better news, I guess I would say. Fix up some of our audio stuff going on here and other issues. Hopefully it's a brand new day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm excited to start seeing sports again. I have to say that, I know a lot of places just opening up, but the states that are opening, have been open, you haven't seen this dramatic spike in cases that they said would happen. You're not seeing it at all. Anywhere. I don't know.
Nope.
NASCAR tomorrow night. We got it covered at Sports Chat and Pick Dogs. We'll be talking it tomorrow. Have a great day.